Julie Sprankles with Charleston Home and Design Magazine at our 2010 Most Influential Home and Design Professionals Award Party at Wholesale Appliance Center in Mount Pleasant. We're speaking with Christophe Drumain from DesignWorks. Christophe, congratulations as being chosen as one of this year's Most Influential Home and Design Professionals.
Thanks a lot. I'm very happy to be here.
Now, talk about being well-versed in your work. Can you tell us a bit about the numerous degrees that you have and how those have helped you in your career?
Well, what's interesting is I applied to the Beaux-Arts School initially and I was refused. And I was driving by the School of Architecture and said, why not? And it was the last day of applying, so I went to architecture. And what's very interesting about my life is every time I graduated from a school, it was a recession. So what do? You go back to school. So I'm an architect by degree, became a planner, and my advisor when I was in France was actually a graduate from Penn. And she said, since there's no work in France, why don't you move to the States and go to Harvard? And somehow I ended up at Harvard. I mean, things just happen. So recession is a good thing if you want to get educated. It's actually a good way to go. So I ended up doing a planner and becoming an urban designer from Harvard. And what's interesting in the States, if you want to really be a planner full-time, you have to work for landscape firms. You know, if you work for an architect, you kind of become a secondary element in the whole design scheme. So I ended up moving to Charleston. My family lives here, my aunt lives here, and I had no work. I didn't know where to go. And the partner of the company moved down here, and I found a job 18 years ago in Charleston. And I started to work here. So it's kind of, things happen, not really calculating it, but to everybody out there who's going through recession, you know, things can be good if you really take them and play with it. So go to school, basically. Find
the silver lining, right? Exactly. Now, I think people get confused about the difference between urban planners and designers and landscape architects. Can you elaborate a bit about the distinctions between the two roles?
Yeah, it's actually, it's pretty amazing, even between landscape architect and landscape designers. I mean, landscape architects go to architecture schools and become landscape architects, and they really dedicate their life to the landscapes, to the outdoor space. That can be public space, private space, and what surrounds you. Planners and urban designers really take that degree to a next level. Actually, I'm an architect by degree, not a landscape architect, and I became a planner. So you have to understand buildings, you have to understand urban fabrics, you have to understand communities. So you really can kind of enlarge your scope of work to zoning, planning, politics, the whole idea of economical, socio-economical, about communities. So a planner, urban designer is really about building communities, where the landscape architect is about building spaces for people within the community. So that's a big difference between the two fields, definitely.
Wonderful. Now, your firm was responsible for all the urban design of the Daniel Island community. Can you tell me what you guys hope to incorporate there and accomplish with that project?
Well, when we designed Daniel Island, what was amazing to start with is Daniel Island is about the size of the peninsula. So it was a huge opportunity when it's opened by the Highway 526. It opened the entire peninsula to the public. And we realized that with the city, with the developers, the owner of the property was very clear. The owner of the property said, I will only develop a community there. I would not turn that into a suburb. And there's a big difference between a suburb and a community. You know, people talk about, I'm in a town, you know, whatever it is. Well, is it really a town? What really started Daniel Island was Bishop England moving to the core of Daniel Island, bringing institutions, schools, churches, places to gather and come together as a community. So what made the success of Daniel Island is the mix between multifamily, single families, high-end, low-end, you know, residential, a lot of pedestrian trails, so you can live, work, and basically and play in the same area. You know, we're talking about the whole fuel and oil problem now. If you can walk to work, if you can drive 5 minutes to your job and live in the same area, this is really the future of what needs to happen in the United States. It's a very European way of life. And we are very lucky to work with a great developer, with great designers, with my entire team at DesignWorks. And we worked actually with them for about 10 years, actually. It's been going on and on and on for 10 years. And Daniel was named actually one of the best neighborhoods in the country for that reason. But it was a very slow process. It doesn't happen in one day. People are making the places. You know, people came in and slowly, basically took over and made that a city, a neighborhood. And this is what makes a difference. It's not a sleeping suburbia. It is really a true entity and a true neighborhood. That's what's important about it.
Well, again, we've been speaking with Christophe Drumain of DesignWorks. Christophe, thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.